You are one decision away from a completely different financial life. Not 10 decisions. Not a complete overhaul of everything at once. One, a single decision made today and then honored every day after that is the difference between the financial life you have right now and the one you keep saying you want. And the reason most people never close that gap is not that the decision is complicated. It is that the decision requires you to operate differently than everyone around you. And operating differently than everyone around you when everything around you is pulling in the other direction is one of the hardest things a person can actually do. Let me tell you what that one decision looks like, because I think people imagine it has to be dramatic. A huge investment, a business launch, some moment where everything changes at once. But the decision that actually changes financial lives is almost never dramatic. It is quiet, it is small, and it is repeated every single day until the compounding effect of it becomes impossible to ignore. The decision is this: to spend less than you make, consistently, on purpose, every month without exception. That is the whole thing. That is the one decision. Not sexy, not complicated, not requiring any special knowledge or access or opportunity. Just the decision to create a gap between what comes in and what goes out, and then protect that gap like your future depends on it. Because it does. Most people never make this decision. Not because they don't know it exists, because the world they live in is specifically designed to prevent it. Every advertisement you see is telling you to spend. Every upgrade someone around you makes creates a subtle pressure to match it. Every app on your phone is engineered to make spending easier and faster and more automatic than saving ever feels. The entire consumer economy is built on the assumption that you will spend everything you make and then some. And if you just go along with the default, if you never consciously decide to operate differently, that assumption will be correct about you your entire life. Think about where you are financially right now. Not where you want to be, where you actually are. The balance in your account, the debt you're carrying, the gap between what comes in every month and what you actually have left over at the end of it. Now think about how long you have been at roughly this same level. How many raises you've gotten that didn't change the feeling. How many times you thought things would be different when you made more money, and then more money came and the feeling stayed exactly the same. That is not bad luck. That is lifestyle inflation doing exactly what it was designed to do. Every time your income went up, your spending went up to match it. And the gap between what you make and what you keep stayed the same size. Sometimes it got smaller. The financial life you want is not on the other side of making more money. It is on the other side of deciding to keep more of what you already make. And that decision, simple as it sounds, requires going against every default that your environment has set for you. It requires saying no to things that feel normal and reasonable and justified. It requires being the person in your circle who doesn't upgrade when everyone else upgrades, who doesn't spend the bonus, who drives the car an extra 2 years, who looks boring from the outside while building something real on the inside. And most people are not willing to be that person, not because they don't want financial freedom, because they want to look like they already have it more than they want to actually build it. That is the honest truth about why most people's financial situation never changes no matter how much their income grows. They are optimizing for appearance instead of outcome. They are making financial decisions based on how things look rather than what they produce. And the gap between those two things, between looking wealthy and building wealth, is where most people's financial future quietly disappears. Let me talk about what the one decision actually produces when you make it and honor it. Because I think people underestimate what a consistent gap between income and spending creates over time. Not because the math is complicated, because the timeline is longer than most people are willing to think about honestly. When you spend less than you make every single month, what you are building is options. Not wealth in the abstract. Actual options. The option to leave a job that is destroying you without being financially destroyed in the process. The option to take a risk on something you believe in without betting everything you have. The option to handle an emergency without it becoming a crisis. The option to say no to things that don't serve you because you are not desperate for the money. Financial freedom is not a number. It is options. And options are built 1 month at a time by the decision to keep more than you spend. Most people have no options, not because they don't make enough money, because every dollar that comes and goes right back out. And when you have no margin, you have no options. And when you have no options, you are at the mercy of every circumstance that comes your way. The job you hate becomes the job you have to keep. The relationship that isn't right becomes the one you stay in. The life you don't want becomes the one you live, because leaving it requires resources you don't have. Financial stress is not just about money. It is about freedom. And most people have traded their freedom for the appearance of a lifestyle they cannot actually afford. Now I want to talk about debt. Because for a lot of people, the one decision that changes everything is not about saving more. It is about stopping the bleeding first. If you're carrying high-interest debt, credit cards, personal loans, anything with an interest rate above 10%, that debt is actively working against every other financial decision you make. It is a leak in the bucket, and you cannot fill a leaking bucket no matter how much you pour into it. The decision in that situation is not complicated, but it is uncomfortable. Stop adding to the debt immediately, not gradually, immediately, and then put every extra dollar at the highest interest debt first until it is gone. Then the next one, then the next one. This is not a new idea. Most people have heard some version of this, but hearing it and doing it are completely different things. And the reason most people hear it and don't do it is that doing it requires giving up the things they have been using debt to fund. The lifestyle, the appearances, the feeling of keeping up. And most people would rather keep the feeling and stay in debt than give up the feeling and build something real. Here is what I want you to understand about the one decision and why it is actually one decision and not many. Every financial choice you make flows from a single underlying belief about what money is for. If you believe money is for spending, for enjoying now, for keeping up, for feeling like you have it together, then every decision you make will be consistent with that belief. And the outcome will be consistent too. Living month to month indefinitely with nothing to show for the years of income that pass through your hands. But if you decide, really decide, not just think about it, but actually commit to it, that money is a tool for building options and freedom rather than a resource to be spent as fast as it arrives, then every decision that follows becomes easier. Because the framework is already set. The decision has already been made. You are not negotiating with yourself every time a spending opportunity appears. You already know what you are doing and why. And that clarity is worth more than any specific financial tactic or strategy because it removes the daily friction of deciding over and over again what your money is actually for. The one decision is available to you right now. Not when you make more. Not when the debt is already gone. Not when things calm down. Right now, with exactly what you have. The gap you can create between your income and your spending right now. Even if it is $50 a month, even if it is $25, is the beginning of a completely different financial life. Not because $50 changes everything immediately. Because the decision to protect $50 when you could have spent it is the same decision that protects $500 when you make more. And $5,000 when you make more than that. The amount is not the point. The decision is the point. And the decision is always available. Right now. Today. God does not want you in financial bondage your whole life. The stress of never having enough, the anxiety of living with no margin, the feeling of being trapped by circumstances you cannot control. That is not the plan for your life. But getting out of it requires a decision that only you can make. A decision to stop going along with the defaults. To stop spending everything that comes in. To stop optimizing for how your life looks and start building what your life actually is. That decision is yours. It has always been yours. And the life on the other side of it is waiting. Sit with that.